Hey there, fifth graders. So today we are solving and creating our own fraction word problems, and these are going to involve addition, subtraction, and multiplication. So keep your eyes out for all three of those. So here's our first problem we're going to work with. Kim and Courtney share a 16-ounce box of cereal. By the end of the week, Kim has eaten 3/8 of the box, and Courtney has eaten 1/4 of the box of cereal. What fraction of the box is left? All right, so we're going to model it. So this is going to be the box of cereal. So our whole bar is the box of cereal. Box of cereal. Now what fraction am I going to use to divide this model? Because we have two different fractions in the problem. We have 3/8 and we have 1/4. So I hope you're thinking that, well, gosh, I know that 2/8 is the same as 1/4. So let's divide it up into eighths, because that would be easy to use as eighths and fourths. All right, so we've got this into 8 pieces. And then we're just going to remind ourselves that by 1/4, they meant 2/8, because that's the same thing, right? So let's see, Kim ate 3/8, so 1, 2, 3, and Courtney ate 1/4 or 2/8, so 4, 5. So we're trying to figure out, what is this chunk? Well, the problem is asking us what fraction of the box is left. So what fraction? Well, 3/8 is left. Boom. 3/8 is left. So let's look at some of the questions that are going to help us with problems like this. So what's the whole? So the whole is 16 ounces, or, since we didn't need to mess with the value of 16 ounces, we could just say the box of cereal, the whole box. Calculate to solve and write a statement. Well, we already solved, but let's write it out as a math problem. Since you know I like you to write it out as a math problem first, because that way I know that you're on the right track. So we have 1, so the whole box, minus 3/8 minus 1/4 equals 3. Now the last step in any story problem is to stop and think, gosh, does my answer make sense? Well, so we have someone who ate almost half a box and someone who ate 1/4 of a box, and we're left with a little bit less than half a box. Okay, that makes sense. Now, if we'd gotten an answer that was like 17 2/10, would that be reasonable? No, because if we started with 1 and took fractions away, how could we end up with more than 1? But we have an answer that's between 0 and 1, so yes, this is reasonable. So Matilda has 20 pints of green paint. She uses 2/5 of it to paint a landscape and 3/10 while painting a clover. She decides that for her next painting, she will need 14 pints of green paint. How much more paint will she need to buy? All right, this one's tricky. So, what 2 steps will we need to solve this problem? Well, first, we have to subtract We have to subtract 2/5 and 3/10 from the whole. And then our next step, we have to figure out how much paint she has left and how much more she will need to have 14 pints. So figure out how much she needs to get to 14. All right, so let's model the problem. So our whole is 20. The whole we have is 20 pints. Because when we're talking about 2/5 and 3/10, we're talking about 2/5 of 20 pints. Or 3/10 of 20 pints. So, got our tape diagram. So the whole, this whole thing, is 20 pints of paint. But what fractional unit am I going to use? Am I going to use 20ths? No, that doesn't really make sense, because the fractions they gave me, I have 2/5 and 3/10. So why don't we use tenths? Because 2/10 is also the same as 1/5. All right, so we're subtracting. And, here's a good step. So if we divided these into tenths, how many pints is each chunk worth? So 20 pints divided into 10, so each of these squares is 2 pints. Okay. So then we have 2/5, which, my tape diagram isn't in fifths, it's in tenths. So 2/5 equals how many tenths? Well, I had to multiply by 2 to turn a 5 into a 10. Do it to the bottom, do it to the top. So 4/10. So 1, 2, 3, 4/10. So that's the 2/5. And then another 3/10. 1, 2, 3. All right, so how much paint does she have left over? Okay, so 6 pints left over. 6 left over. Have we answered the question? Well, let's double check. For her next painting, she will need 14 pints. How much more paint will she need to buy? We haven't answered the question. All we've answered is how much paint she has left over, 6 pints. So how much more paint will she need to buy? Well, she has 6, but she wants 14. So 14 minus 6 is 8. So she will need 8 pints. She will need to buy 8 pints. Is our final answer. So does our answer make sense? Well, let's see. We're saying that she used up 14 pints and had 6 left over. That works. That sounds like a reasonable fraction of 20. And she needs to buy 8. Yeah, we don't have any weird numbers. We're not saying that, oh my gosh, she would need to buy 55 pints to get to 14. So yes, I think we sound reasonable. All right, 5th graders, I want you to work on problems 3 and 4 on your own. Now the good news is these problems are the same ones that are in your problem set. So once you finish off these, you only have the homework to do, not the problem set. Make sure you're raising your hand if you need help. Good luck.